What's up everybody, my name is Radi and you're watching my channel Radi the Brand. In today's video we're going to convert this design into HTML and CSS markup, which we can then use to convert into a WordPress / e-commerce theme. I wanted to make the CSS as maintainable as possible, and that's why I decided to use the BEM methodology in this video on top of using the SCSS preprocessor, which will make things a lot easier for us. In this video we'll be using a lot of CSS Grid. We'll be using SCSS to make our responsive web design a little bit easier for us. I'll show you how to use mixings. We'll be using variables. We'll be using some CSS functions. We'll probably use a little bit of Flexbox, and there is just a lot to cover. I would have liked to put a lot more effort into the details of this layout, but time was ticking and I wanted to do it as quick as possible while explaining everything in detail. So make sure you put a lot more effort into the details, because as you know, every detail on the layout matters. And now before we get started, as always, don't forget to smash the likes if you like this video. Comment below if you have any questions or suggestions, and last but not least, smash the subscribe button. And now let's jump on the computer and get started writing our HTML and CSS markup. Welcome, and let's get started. So I've already created a folder on my desktop called WooCommerce shop, and here is where I will be adding all the files. So open your favorite code editor. For me this is Visual Studio Code, and on Windows you can do left shift, right click and open PowerShell Windows here. Then type code with dot, and this will open Visual Studio Code for you. Alternatively, just open Visual Studio Code, File, Open Folder, and select the folder that you want to work in. Let's start by creating some folders and some files. Obviously, the first file that we'll be creating is our index.html. As you can see, I've zoomed in quite a lot so you can see a little bit better if you're mobile or tablet. I hope that's okay. And let's now create the images folder and the styles. For the styles, I'm just going to name the folder CSS, and as always I will be using SCSS for this project. So let's create a file inside the CSS folder called style.scss. The plugin that I'm using to compile the SCSS to a normal style.css file is under here, extensions, search for live SAS compiler, and once you install it, make sure you run it right here at the bottom below where it says watch SCSS. And also I will be using a live server, which will basically refresh the page for me every time I make changes on the web page. So let's toggle back the extensions, watch SCSS. If we toggle back the Explorer, you will see that this generated the style.css for us, which is great. So let's close the Explorer. These are all the files that we need. If we look at the design that we'll be doing today, I need to export. I've already exported this image and those two images so we can start using them. And these ones I won't bother with because these will be added from WordPress in the next video as products. So I'm not going to bother doing this section, exporting all the images and so on, but that's it. So let's continue. Let me copy and paste the images. The namings are not super great. I've got male, female, hero image, and their size is quite big. Obviously they need to be optimized for the web, but it doesn't really matter at this stage here as we are just developing the website. So now that we have index.html and styles open, let's start writing some of the HTML and include our styles. One thing that I forgot to mention is that for today's video we'll be using SCSS, but also I will plug in some media queries that I've pre-made to speed up the process and make it easier. I actually done a video on advanced media queries, and this is when I created those styles that I'm going to show you now. So let's go ahead and copy them. What I will do is create a new file in here, and I'm going to do is underscore breakpoint.scss, and inside here I'm going to paste some of the mixins that I've pre-made for us, and I will explain them now. So basically these are just normal media queries, but I've wrapped them within mixins, and each mixin has a name. So this is basically a media query for phone. This media query specifically has a minimum width of 320 pixels and max width 480 pixels. So to use this media query in our project will be actually very easy. All we have to do is add include. Then we need to type the media query that we want to include. So for example, phone. So let's say insert device name in here. Then you just need to apply the styles. I will obviously show you how this works, and let me quickly add a comment for this just so we know what it is, just like this. And this will be also available to download on my blog and GitHub. So let's close this. Let's go back to the HTML and let's start writing our HTML. So first of all, to start writing our HTML in Visual Studio Code is very easy. We can just start typing HTML and select HTML5. The Emmet abbreviation will save us so much time in here, and we're pretty much done with the basic structure of this site. So let's go with something like, for title, guard shop, as this is what I named my shop. We have the viewport, which is brilliant, and now we have to add our style sheets and some JavaScript if we are going to do any. So let's add our style sheets here, style sheet, and to add our style sheet all we have to do is type link, select link CSS. This will give us the rel of style sheet href style, but obviously we have a folder called CSS before the style.css. So we're going basically in this folder here, and we're selecting the style.css. Now, just to let you know, you don't have to add the breakpoints in here. We're gonna actually import the breakpoint into the styles.css in a second. As we're here, let's continue by adding some of the fonts. And the first font that we need to add is this one here, which is gonna be our body font, and it's called Stozel, I believe. And this is actually an Adobe font. It's free to use, and you can go to Adobe Fonts, find it, it will give you a link, and you can just include that link in the header of our website, sorry. And for the headings, we're going to be using Playfair Display, and this is actually a Google font, which you can go to Google Fonts and get very easily. I've already copied the links to save us some time here, so let's first of all copy the first body font. This is the Typekit, which is Adobe, and let's now copy the Google font, which is the Google Fonts, which is the one for the headings, and this is perfect. So technically later on we could copy this and put all JavaScript in here, so I could do JavaScript. Now that we have all this set up, let's have a look whether our styles are working. To do this, we can simply change the body background color, let's say, to something like green, and save. Let's now run the project from Explorer and right click on index.html and open it with Live Server here at the top. This should open the browser for us. It's taking a little bit of time, and as you can see we have a background color of green, which means that our styles are working, and we can take this off for now and check out, and the changes are done automatically with the live server. The next thing that we need to do before we forget is to import our breakpoint. That's very easily done. In styles.scss we can simply put import and then type the name of the file that we want to import, and in this case we have an underline breakpoint .scss. Save this, and also don't forget to close. Now before we start adding any of or elements like the header, the hero image, let's add some dummy text and setup or page layout quickly. Today I will be using BEM, which is a methodology, CSS methodology, which stands for block element modifier. If we go to, or let's add first of all, let's add one heading in here saying heading 1, just for the test. We can do Alt Shift and down to copy this, and let's add actually H2 instead now, and type heading 2. And let's add a paragraph in here as well, just to see how our text looks like. And in Visual Studio Code, you can start typing lorem and hit enter, and this should give you some dummy text. And of course, I need to go to View and toggle word wrap so you can see it. Save this, go back to the page, and as you can see, we have heading 1, heading 2, and some text. Let's make sure that we have the correct font, the correct styling, and so on. The first thing I'm going to start with is create a few variables. So I'm gonna make a comment here just like this, so we know what they are, like this. And in here I will be adding some variables. So one mistake that I see that a lot of people make is naming their variable colors to the colors of their layout. So for example, because my layout is pretty much black and white, I mean in terms of typography and other colors, it's pretty much black and white. Many people would normally do a variable like, for example, black dash color, and then they will set up RGB, RGBA 0, 0, and 1. Many people would do this, and then they will start styling their layout. Like, let's say for example on body, maybe we want to change the color, the font color to be to or variable black color. And imagine, and I see many people doing this and reusing this variable all the way on all elements. Just imagine that if some of the specification for your project change, and this black color needs to be changed to, let's say, gray or red. Now we'll probably end up using this variable multiple times, and now this variable no longer makes sense because it's set to red, it says black, and it's just a mess. So what I prefer to use is not to name anything. Instead, I usually use primary color and secondary color and so on. So my primary color is RGBA. I should have saved this 0.0.0.1, and I can reuse this anywhere. I can change the color whenever I like to the primary color, and it will just change on my whole layout, which is great. So the next thing, which is exactly the same, some people type the variable names of their fonts, which is not good. For this, what I usually use is, maybe we can do headings font and body font. So let's do headings font, and for headings font we have the Playfair font, the Google one, and this is a serif font. And for the body we have STOLZL, and we have sans serif. Now that we have set a few variables, we'll probably come back to this section later on and add a few more as we need. And now let's copy this and start creating some of the main styles. So let's change this to main. And some of the main styles will be things like HTML body, H1, H2, paragraphs, links, and so on. So let's start with the HTML. And as you notice, in this we're not using any reset styles. You can do that if you want, but I think because I'm using the BEM methodology, I'm just going to be styling everything individually as components. And I really don't want to do this where people do this all the time as well, which means everything, asterisk, which means everything, select every single element on your DOM, and then people do something like padding 0, margin 0, and also people do box sizing, border box. I get it, but this is not a good way to reset styles. Basically, those are being added to every single element of your page, and I personally don't like that, and I'm fairly confident that surely this isn't good for performance either. So don't do this. So first thing, let's style our HTML. And the reason I'm doing this is because we'll be using rems for our font size. Just to make it easier, what we can do here is set our font size to be 62.5%. And if you're wondering what this does, this is basically a method of setting the font size to be 62.5%, and that's because the default font size of our browser is typically 16 pixels, and 62.5 of 16 pixels is 10 pixels. So why am I doing this? This is because I would like to make my rem numbers to be, for example, if I was to do font size, I want to set my rem to be something like 1.6 rem, and this will be usually now equals to 16 pixels. So that number, it's a lot easier to work with rather than calculating the rems and so on. I hope this makes sense. Anyway, let's continue. Let's style our body. So on our body, of course, we have as default, we have some margin. So we can reset it here, it's not a problem. Let's start by changing the body font size to 1.6 rem, which is actually the default, so we don't have to do that. But let's do it anyway. So font size 1.6 rem. And then we can do, and let's set the font family of body font. Body font is our variable that we created earlier, so this is the font that we're setting for body. Then we need to set the font weight to be around 300, and we need to set the font style. Do we need to set the font style to normal? Probably not. We'll have a look in a second and maybe remove this. It's not a big deal. And last but not least, let's use the primary color of our layout in here. So we can do color, primary color, which is set to black. So technically speaking, if we go back to the browser, everything is looking good. Our font is coming up, but of course we need to change the heading to be to the other font that we loaded earlier. So let's do that now. So first of all, let's add a few heading elements. So H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. I probably won't style every single one individually, and I probably won't use them at the moment, but it's good to style later on if you're developing a full-on project. One thing that I want to do on them is to reset the margin top on all of them, I believe. Let's have a look. Margin top, let's set it to 0 for now, and the font family for the headings needs to be set to the headings font, which is the variable here. This is perfect. The next thing I actually want to do is maybe change the line height of the body, but maybe we can come back to this later if we don't like it. So let's change the line height to 1.2, and we'll see how it goes. So technically speaking, now our H1 and H2 should have the new font, and as you can see, the new font is loaded and everything is looking good. Of course, I'm gonna actually change the size of those fonts quickly in here, so let's do that quickly. I'm just gonna change it for H1 and H2. So H1, let's change the font size to be 3.5 rem, and font weight, I want it to be 600, which is semi-bold. And by the way, we are developing this website mobile first. So first of all, we're doing the mobile styles, and then we're doing the bigger ones such as tablet, laptop, desktop, and so on. So this will be all mobile, and we'll work our way up later on. So let's go back. We've set our font size on mobile to be 3.5 rem, font weight to be semi-bold, and let's do something similar for H2. And inside here, I'm gonna do just font size to 2.8 rem. Okay, so mobile wise, this would be perfect. I want to show you how we can use the media queries mixins that I created, and let's do that now. So if you wanted to do different size for H1 and H2 for desktop, let's say we go to breakpoints, and let's say we want to start from tablet portrait. So this would be the minimum width of 768 pixels, and up I want to change the font size to be slightly bigger. So that's kind of like desktop. I'm not going to be doing all the media queries. I'm going to keep it basic, but of course add as many media queries as you need. And of course, and at the bottom here, I've got a custom one, which you can pass a custom number as well, and so on. So let me show you how we can use this. Go back to, let's close this, go back to styles, and I want to make the H1 and H2 bigger for desktop, or slightly, yeah, for desktop. So what I can do here is I can say include, and then paste tablet mode, and then inside here I can wrap the H1 and change the font size to 6.5 rem, so it's a lot bigger. And let's do the same for H2. I can hold Alt, Shift and down, and I would copy it. So let's change this to H2. Font size will be 4.5 and save. So let's see what happens when we resize the browser. Currently we are on desktop view. It's looking real nice. And when we go down to mobile, the text went small. The text resized. See? And this is how easy it is to do media queries with those mixins. And that's why I will be using them for today's video tutorial. As we're already here, we might as well reset some of the links. I'm gonna keep them very basic. Basically, let's create a link in here. So href, just like this, and we're gonna keep it empty. And then link 1, and then let's have a look at how this link looks like. And obviously, it's getting the default browser styles. So let's change this quickly. Let me zoom in as well so you can see. And maybe I can put this on the right side, just like this, so you can see a little bit better. Let's change the link color super quickly, styles. And to do this, I'm just gonna be doing them in here, links like this. And we can do a link. Let's change the color to be equals the main color, which is $ primary color. That's now let's change the text decoration to be, actually I'm gonna leave the text decoration to be underline because that's because of usability. So let's leave it as it is, and let's just do we could have done a hover effect as well. Maybe we can do hover and just change. We could have done we could have done a mixin, or we could have done a hover button, but let's keep it simple and just put maybe like color and then RGB to be around 0.8, which makes it slightly opaque when we hover over. I don't think you can see this, but yeah, that's probably too bad. Okay, But yeah, you can see this a little bit now. This is just an example anyway. The next two things that we need to do is visit it. Obviously I haven't clicked on this, but if I do, the color might change. As you can see, the color is now changed ever so slightly. It's kind of hard to see, but what we have to do is for a visited, we're gonna have to do color set to primary color, and for the active as well, I'm gonna do exactly the same. We could have done the same on one line, I believe. Let's have a look, just like this, and I think that works as well. So the active and visited buttons should be all the same color, which is the primary color of our layout. So we'll probably have to style a few more elements such as input and so on, but we'll do that as we go along, as we add the style, as we add the elements to our index HTML page. So first of all, let's start by creating our navigation at the top. And just bear in mind that we are designing mobile first, so we're gonna have to look at this design because we have our burger menu on the left side, logo in the middle, and our tools on the right side. While on the desktop it's swapped, the logo is on the left side, the menu is in the middle, and then we have the tools. So just bear this in mind, and we're going to be using Grid to make this very easy to swap around the elements. So first of all, let's create the header into our index.html file. Let's remove those default styles that we were styling and start cleaning in here. I'm going to use the HTML5 element header, but I will also like to give it a class name. So because we're writing BEM, this will give us the flexibility to change this to anything we wish later on if we have to, and you will see what I mean as I go along. So first of all, let's give this a class name, and usually you'd probably want to be kind of specific, so let's do top or main header. Yeah, let's do main header. You would think that I already came up with the names, but nope, not today. So then we have the main header, and inside here, so this is our block element. Then we're gonna have 3 elements, which will be our burger, logo, tools. So let's create them. Let's start with the logo. The actual order of the elements doesn't matter so much in this stage, but I always start with the logo. So let's create a div with a class name of main-header, and we're going to do 2 underscores for logo. Okay, and inside here is where I'm going to create a link with href and just add my logo in here. Normally you'd have it as SVG or PNG or JPEG or whatever, but I'm using the same font for my logo, so I'm just gonna type it out like this, and as you can see it in here, maybe I should zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Now that we have the logo, the next thing that we need to do is do the navigation, and for the navigation we can use the nav HTML5 element with the class name of main header, and then we can do 2 underscores nav. Okay, and inside here is where we're gonna have our burger menu and where we're gonna have the lists. So we need to create this here, recreate it, and also we need to add these links as well. And obviously they're gonna be hidden on mobile, and this is gonna be hidden on desktop. So let's do that. First of all, let's do the burger menu. I'm actually going to call this burger menu link, maybe? I don't know, I'm not great with naming stuff. So let's do the class name of menu-link, and inside here we can have 2 or 3 spans, span like this, and actually let's just go for 2. I quite like the minimalist burger menus where you only have 2 lines instead of 3, but I'll show you how to make it anyway. We have 2 spans and we could potentially give them specific classes, but I think that's very unnecessarily at this point. Let's now create a menu, and because this layout, we're pretty much prepping this for WordPress, I know how my menu is going to come out. It's going to come out in a unordered list, and we can change the class names and all that, but let's keep it simple for now. So let's mimic it the way it will come out from WordPress as much as we can, so we don't have to restyle stuff later on. So let's do a UL with the class name of menu, and then maybe we need to be a little bit more specific, but that's fine. Let's go with a list, and inside the list, every single list is going to have a class name of menu item, which will be very helpful later on. And obviously inside each list we're going to have a link which will lead us to a page just like this. The first one we have is products, and let's copy this 3 more times. I can do this by Alt, Shift and down, 1, 2, 3, and let's quickly change this to sale, about, support, and we're done. The navigation is done as well here, and the last thing that we need to do is to create the tools, which is this magnifying glass and the shopping cart. For that, let's create a new div in here, div with the class name of main header underscore tools, and then inside here we're gonna have 2 links. So href, let's keep them like this, and also let's give this href a class name of tools dash icons. Maybe, I'm not sure if this is necessarily again, but let's do it anyway. Then we can duplicate this, and inside here is where we'll be adding or icons. For this design I use the feather icons, which you can find under feathericons.com, and instead of using the CDN, I'm just going to download the SVGs that I need and just copy and paste them into my layout instead, because I wasn't very happy with the JavaScript way of inserting the icons, but let's go with it. So search is one that I need. Let's download. I think I might already downloaded these. Cart is the second one that I need. Let's download it. And yes, I've already downloaded these. So let's open those 2 icons. Let's delete those. Let's open those 2 SVGs in Visual Studio Code like this. And this is the shopping cart. Let's copy the SVG, paste the shopping cart into the second one here. And let's copy the search and paste the search into the first one, just like this. So let's go back to our layout. Let's start styling the header, and then we'll come back and develop the rest of the elements of the page. So first of all, we need to remember that we have a main header, class name, and then logo, nav, and so on. So let's start by copying some of them. So in the styles, inside here I'm gonna paste main header, and I'm also gonna copy this comment in here, so we're a bit more organized. Header. Okay, so this is a class, so we're gonna have to add the dot, and then inside here what I want to achieve now is display this as grid and position the elements just like it's on the design. To do this, we can use we can use display grid, just like this. And also you have to be careful when you do this, but if you are developing Edge and Internet Explorer, is a little bit funny when you do this. You have to actually do display -ms grid, which is really annoying. You have to display the prefixes, and there is an online tool for this that can help you out. Grid prefixes GitHub. So this website is called Auto Prefixer. You basically copy your styles, paste them in here, and this will give you an example that should work for like Edge and so on. But it's really annoying that we have to do this. Just bear in mind that you have to do this as well and spend a lot of time building it. Today I'm just going to be doing the normal ones which work on on pretty much all modern browsers. I'm just going to be doing this today. But yeah, just let you know. So first of all, let's zoom out a little bit now. So we want it to look similar to the design that we have. We have display grid, but nothing is happening. On Firefox, you can actually go underneath here when you inspect the elements and display line numbers, display areas, and so on. And the reason that no area is displayed is because we need to find the grid area, so header, and click on the grid here. This will display the grid for you, which can be very handy sometimes, and also you can display the numbers if you wish, but I don't want them at the moment. And you can display the names of the grid and so on. So first of all, we need to do a couple of things. We need to set a grid template which will allow us to position our elements the way we want. And to do this, let's go with grid template. And to do a template, you can do it on another line in here with a single quote, and you can start by naming every single by naming those three elements. So we have first of all, we're gonna have on mobile, we're gonna have navigation, then we're gonna have the logo, and then we're gonna have the tools. Save. And as you can see, Grid kind of already names them by the order that they are in our HTML, but this is wrong. We need to actually give them the proper names. So I'll need to give the logo a logo name and so on. To do this, what we can do is let's get the logo class name, which is main header logo. And what you can do in SCSS, instead of doing this and then doing the styles here, what we can actually do is inside here we can do an ampersand, and then we can do underscore logo, and that should act exactly the same as this. So we can type our styles in here. So first of all, let's name our logo to be set to grid area to be called logo. Grid area logo. Let's save. And as you see, the logo is now turning into the logo, and it's actually taking the second position, which is here. Now let's do the same for the other ones. And we have nav and we have tools. So let's do exactly the same. Copy this. Nav, and let's paste it one more time, and let's say tools, and of course we need to change the grid area to be nav and tools. Okay, what this allows us to do is easily manipulate the position of the elements on the page. So for example, I could I could move the nav to be in the middle here, save it, and look at what happens. The nav goes in the middle, and this is what we'll be using to do the media query for desktop. So from mobile to desktop. Let's go back because we want the mobile to be nav logo tools, and of course we're gonna have to hide this and so on. But let's finish this up first of all. I want to add a little bit of gap between them, and to do this, Grid makes it very easy. You have to do gap, and then you can do simple like 10 pixels. As you can see, it creates this gap for us. Then what I want to do is I want to ensure that all those three blocks are equally spaced. And to do this with Grid, we can use the Grid template dash columns. And we can either set every single element to be one fraction of the screen like this, 1FR, 1FR, or we can use, as you see, they are now equal, or we can use the shorthand, which is repeat, and the shorthand is repeat 3 1FR, just like this. I want to add a little bit of padding as well, so let's add a bit of padding, like I don't know, 18 pixels, That looks better. Last thing that I want to make sure I do is don't forget that on mobile we have white background, but on desktop we don't. So what I'm gonna have to do is create this with RGBA. Let's do that. In here I can do background dash color RGBA, and then I can do doing all these stuff. So I can do 255, 255, 255 is white, and then set it to 1, which means that the background color of the main header will be white. And to prove that this is working, let's change the body color super quickly. We'll have to remove this in a bit to, I don't know, this one looks good. As you can see, white, and the menu is white, and we have a baby blue or something like that. We'll leave this in for now, but later on we'll have to remove it. Let's go down, and let's not forget that this menu is actually going to be positioned on top of our hero image, so we're going to have to make this absolute. And to do this, we can basically pretty much do position absolute, and then we can set the top to be 0, the left to be 0, so the div starts from top 0, left 0, and we need right as well 0. Okay, so you won't see a difference just yet, but when we add elements they will be underneath here. Which reminds me that we'll probably have to do z-index1 at some point, so we might as well do it now. So it's this menu is above everything else. Now that we are here, let's start with the first element on here, which is the logo. So for the logo, I'm just gonna make it, actually I want to reset all the links on the header. Yeah, let's do that. Let's reset all the links on the header actually. So text decoration, I want to set to none. Okay, and now let's style the logo. For the logo, what I'm going to do is just bump up the size a little bit to font size 2.4 rem. Then let's bump up the font weight to 600, which is semi-bold. That's looking much better now. And I want to be able to, if we make the Visual Studio smaller, just a little bit, I want to be able to justify this in the middle of the screen, and in the middle horizontally and vertically. So to do this, I can do justify self, which is going to be obviously center, and I can do align self center as well. Okay, this is working quite well. The next thing that I want to do is the navigation. Obviously this is gonna need to be, we need to hide this actually and create our little burger menu first. So let's have a look at what the name was. So this, we need to hide menu link. We could be very specific and do it in here, just like this, menu link, and I would just do display none. That doesn't seem to be working. Let's have a look. Oh, sorry, I need to be hiding this one instead. So menu, display none, and now we need to create the actual menu. We also need to position them in a second as well, but let's finish with the navigation. So first of all, to create those 3 elements, or two in my, I'm gonna just do 2 because it's easier to recreate them. If you remember, we created 2 spans in here, so I'm gonna use them to put background color in them and display them as the lines instead of putting SVG. So this will be super easy to do actually. So let's copy the menu link class and let's do it in here. First of all, let's set the width of this container to be roughly, let's set it to 2.4 rem. Let's set the height to be 1.4 rem. Then let's set the position to be relative because we're going to position the spans absolute inside. And now let's target the spans as well. Span. And let's have a look if we added classes to them. No, we didn't add classes, but that's fine. Let's target the span. So obviously the spans now need to be positioned absolute. And I need to make sure that they start from the left side 0 and to the right side 0. Then let's display the spans as blocks. Let's make sure that they have a little bit of height so we can see the background color in a second. So 0.2 rem should be good enough. And let's put the background dash color to be RGB. Is this black? Yeah, RGB black, or you can use whatever. So obviously we have two spans in our HTML, but we see one. This is because they're both positioned at the top at the moment. Let's position one at the top and let's position the other one at the bottom of the screen. So let's select the first child first of all, and first child. Let's position it at the top 0. And let's select the second one, the last child, last child. And let's position this, and let's position this one at the bottom, just like this. And as you can see, the menu is now looking good, but this needs to be positioned as well. So to do that, I'm actually gonna have to position the nav here. Let's do justify self to be start, which will start from the left side, and let's do align self to be center. So this should center our menu right here. That's all good so far. Let's now focus on the tools here on the right side. Let's just move them to the right side. To do this, we can do justify self end, and we can do align self center. The only thing I would do is probably add some padding between them. Maybe we can target the actual tool icons class to do that. So we can do it in here, just like this, tool icons, and maybe we can do padding of 0.66 rem. This will make them slightly, that didn't seem to work, class name, maybe we should do it singular tools icon like this, and change it in here as well, just like this. Okay, this is better. As you saw, the icons moved, but the only issue here is that they both created a little bit of padding around them, so it's not going to be aligned exactly as the space in here, but they're going to be easier to hit, so let's leave them the way they are. Of course, we can do the pseudo element, not last child, and avoid this if we wanted to, but let's leave it for now. So far our menu is looking very good, and now we need to figure out how to do this for desktop. So I'm gonna have to open this for desktop like this, unfortunately, and just toggle between Visual Studio Code and the browser. For desktop, we're gonna have to move the logo to the left. We're gonna have to hide this icon, display the actual menu that we hidden before in the middle. Let's do that. First of all, we can use our handy media queries. Just if this is the header, we can do it just in here. So let's do only one. We'll do only one for now, but of course feel free to use multiple queries if you need to for your design and so on. So let's do include tablet dash portrait, and inside here what we can do, the first thing is to change the grid template so the logo is in the first position. Let's copy this, paste it, and let's swap the logo with the nav like this. Let's remove the space as well and save. So technically speaking, if you go back to the browser, you will see that the logo is now on the left and we have the nav in the middle. Let's fix the rest of the stuff. So we need to remove the background color now, and this will be easy because we used RGBA. So let's do background dash color RGBA, and then we can do 255, 255, 255, and then 0, which is opacity 0. So that should remove the background for us. As you can see, the white background is gone. And then let's focus on the logo. So let's do underscore logo, and we need to justify the logo to be at the start, just like this. And let's do the same for the navigation. We need to do ampersand underscore nav, and then we can do justify self to be center. Now everything is looking good, but we need to display this none. So which one was the element? So we need to display this as block and this one as none. So let's copy those two, and inside here we can actually add them like this, and we can display this one as a block, and we can display this one as none, like this. And let's see what happens. As you can see, we have the links, which is awesome, but of course we're gonna actually have to do a little bit of work on those links to make them look good. So let's do that now. If we go back to the HTML and inspect the links, we can see that we have class of menu, and inside here we have menu item. So let's copy this, find where the menu is in here. And I know it's displayed none here, but we can actually add some more styles in here just to reset them like this. Okay, so we can add URLs as default have padding. So let's remove the padding to 0. Let's remove the bullet points. So list style is set to none. And then we need to add the menu item, which is a class name, and display those menu items as inline block, I think. Inline block, and let's just add some padding between them. And of course, we could have done this in so many ways. We could have spaced them out equally with grid and flexbox, but I think this is a very easy and nice solution. So let's go with it. As you can see, everything is looking great so far. The only difference is that the font on the menu is slightly bolder in here, so we could change this if you wish. So maybe where we added the links, we could say font weight to be, I don't know if it's 400. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's much better actually. 400, and we are good. We could have added the underscores underneath them if we wanted to, but let's continue to save some time. Now that we have the desktop menu, let's have a look how the mobile menu is looking when we shrink down the website. And at some point in here, as you can see, it's switching to mobile and then desktop, which is brilliant. Okay, the next section that we need to focus on is the hero section. So let's start by adding some of those elements into our index.html page, and we'll go from there. So first of all, let's open index.html, and just below the header, let's start by creating a new section, and I'm going to give this section a class name of hero. And again, you can be a bit more specific if you wish to. Inside hero, the hero section is actually going to be a big link, so the whole section will be clickable. And to do this, let's do an href with hashtag inside it so it's not broken, and we can add a class name of hero underscore wrapper. This link will be our hero underscore wrapper. And if you were to change, the good thing about BEM is that if you were to change this element to no longer be link, then the styles will still work on whatever we use, even if you put div or whatever. Well, that's the idea anyway. The next thing I want to do inside here is create a div with the class name of wrapper. And inside here, we're gonna have probably a div with the class name of, I don't know whether to do it. Let's do it as a hero heading. Yeah, let's do it as a hero heading. And then inside here, I'm gonna add a span like this. Actually, instead, let's do wrapper, and this will be all wrapper heading. And inside here, we're gonna have a span, which I don't know what to name yet, but then we're gonna have an h1, which will be, I'm gonna copy the text in a second, and then we're gonna have like a fake button, which will be kind of like a div with a class name of a button, and yeah, just we'll put it as a button, but I can show you how to use a modifier as well if you wish to. So let's copy the text super quickly. So we have new collection in here, then we have elegant and luxury in here, and then for the button we have browse collection. So let's copy and paste to this, and let's go with it. So I'll probably leave these and just tie them up to this div. They're already kind of specific enough, I think. Otherwise it could get a little bit messy, but so let's save this and see what we get. We have all the elements, it's perfect. Let's start styling this section now. Okay. The first thing I want to do is add some sort of layout element section in here. So let's add one in here, just like elements. I don't know if this is the right naming, but what I want to achieve here is on every single section of my website, I want to make sure that the section is in the middle. So let's do that quickly. Margin 0 auto, and this will be very handy in a second. And I also want to add some padding everywhere so the text isn't exactly close to the edge. And to do this, I'm actually going to create a variable in here. I'll move it at the top in a second. So maybe we can do a mobile one first. Mobile padding, and then we can set the mobile paddings to be 16 pixels. Excuse me, it needs to be 2.16 pixels. And then maybe we can do a desktop one to be set to 36 pixels, so there is more space. I think we got an error. So yeah, I need to add the variable mobile padding here like this, and let me move those variables at the top with the other ones like this. So let's have a look at what's happening. So if I refresh, we're getting the 16 pixels of padding at the moment. Let's go back and focus on the hero now as well. Again, so we can copy this and paste it inside here and just do hero. I think I spaced out things too much, but let's go. So first of all, our hero section is called hero, so we can use the same class name just like this. And the first thing that I want to make sure is that the position of the hero is relative, and the reason for this is because I want to add the background. I want to add this background to be as a pseudo element, so we can modify the opacity of it and so on mobile, and yeah, and you will see how it goes. So first of all, let's make sure that this is set to position relative. Instead of adding the background image here, we're gonna do it in a pseudo element, which will be and after like this, and then we're gonna have to do content, make this empty, and then we can add our background image. I will show you why this will be very useful in a minute. Background image, and then we can do URL / images, and I need the hero image at 2x JPEG. We need to set, obviously, because this is kind of a, this is a pseudo element, and the hero is set to relative. Need to set this to absolute. So let's do position absolute, and then obviously we're gonna have to do top 0, right 0, bottom 0, and left 0. Make sure that the Z index is set to -1, so it's behind the hero element, and let's have a look what we get. So as you can see, the image is now in here, which is ideal, and we can use the hero wrapper to actually make this content a lot bigger. So let's do that. To do this, we can do our trick, which was ampersand __ wrapper, and inside here we can do the height to be set to 32, VH, which is the vertical height. Then we can display this as a grid, which will help us to position our element a little bit easier, and we can align the content to the end. Let's have a look at what we get. Okay, this is looking good so far. Because this is a link, we might need to remove the text decoration, and we can also make this very specific if you wanted to, but let's leave it as it is. Let's just add text decoration to be none. Let's see if it works. Okay, this is fine. Now you're probably wondering, well, how do we position this in the middle, like kind of in the middle here of the screen? So her face is on the right side and our elements here on the left side. And to do this, what we can do is this wrapper element I'm going to use to create a little section that is kind of always center aligned, and maybe we can reuse this later on as well. So let's use it. So let's do it in under here, layout elements. What I'm going to do is create the wrapper. I'm going to make sure that the wrapper is set to margin 0 auto, which will set it in the middle of the screen. But of course, at the moment, it's probably taking the full screen. Let's set it to full width, 100%, just in case. And let's set the max width to be 1280 pixels, and this should constrain the box to be that size and throw it in the middle. If we refresh, you will see that we get the title kind of in the middle, just like the design. And obviously this can be positioned this could be positioned precisely if you keep playing with the numbers and depending of the resolution of the breakpoints. Okay, let's shrink down the website to mobile so we can see what's going on, and everything is looking good so far. Of course, the image is not very visible at the moment, and this is because we need to set the background the background size, to kind of cover everything like this. And also we need to make sure that this image never repeats, so background repeat we can set to no repeat. And last but not least, we can actually position this image a little bit better so we can see her face. And to do this, we can do background position 0 pixels and then 16%. Okay, we have to play with the position a little bit more, maybe like 26 or 40, 60. Okay, basically we have to play a little bit with the position to make it look good, but that's the idea. And because it's because we've done it with after, this allows us to do all sorts of stuff. For example, if we wish to, we could change the opacity now to the picture. While if we put it on the background here on the hero section, we probably wouldn't be able to change the opacity of the actual image itself. We'll have to do the full section. So that was the idea. Anyway, let me show you. So if I was to change the opacity here, 0.5, that would work absolutely fine. just in case the image is taking too much of the text and so on. But I think it's looking just okay at the moment. So let's continue with working on the rest of the stuff. For the heading, we're gonna have to center align everything. So if we go back, we have wrapper heading. So let's copy this and do it in here. And we can do text align center. Oh, I've put too many things. This heading actually needs to go outside. We can possibly put it in here maybe. Let's just do it. It needs to be wrapper and then wrapper heading. So technically speaking, we could either wrap it in the wrapper that we created on top, or we can just use this class name for now, which is a little bit annoying. Actually, you know what, let's do it. Let's copy this and put it in here, which could end up being a little bit annoying, but we'll see. So we have the heading here now, and the heading is center aligned. Then we need to make sure that we have max width of 600 pixels in here as well. So max width 600 pixels, and you will see why. And now we need to style the span and the button. So for the span, it will be fairly easy. Span, we can do display block. Then we can do letter spacing 0.2 rem. And then we can do a little bit of margin so they're not so close together. So margin bottom 10 pixels, just like this, and it's looking so much better already. Obviously the next bit that we need to do is we need to kind of like style the button that we created, and I'm going to do this under the layout elements as well, just around here. So button, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that the button is set to inline block. The color is set to primary color. Then I need to add some padding of 10 pixels, 16 pixels. So 10 pixels top and bottom, 16 pixels left and right. Make sure that the text inside the button is center aligned. Make sure that any text decoration on the button is set to none. Make sure that the font size is set to 1.2 rem. So as you can see, this has taken a little bit of effect, but I forgot to add border. So let's do that. We need to add the border, which is 2 pixels solid, and I'll just use the primary color again. This is looking good. Obviously we can add background and so on, and this is where you can do modifiers. For example, you could do class name of a button with a modifier of, I don't know, let's say white. Let's say for example white, and I could potentially do here a background color of 123, which is white. And now I can add this modifier to my button, which is here, like this, button white. And if I save it, you will see that we now have a white button. I actually need the button white, which I didn't realize, so let's actually leave it there. Obviously you can do button small, button big, and all those things, but I'm not gonna be doing that now. So the only thing that I want to ensure is that when we go on desktop, I want the button to be ever so slightly bigger, I mean the font. So what I will do is I'm gonna add the media query in here, which includes tablet portrait, and for tablet portrait font size is going to be 1.6 rem. And if we do this, you will see that the font size has gone up on the button and everything else. Okay, so now we need to actually modify this section to work well on desktop. Let's have a look at how it looks. It's not so bad actually. We can now make this a little bit bigger, position it better, and this button looks ridiculously low, so we might have to change this as well. And this is probably because we have so much margin on this font here, and I can change it from the wrapper. Let's have a look. So I can change it in here, maybe just do H1 margin 0 and have a look. Okay, this is not very nice. I need to figure out a number, maybe like 20 pixels. Okay, this is almost there, maybe like 26 pixels. Okay, this works for me, it's fine. Let's continue for now. And let's now do the desktop version. So for the desktop, I'm in the hero section here. Let's add another media query right here and include tablet portrait. And inside here, I'm going to select the hero wrapper, just like this, because we're gonna have to change the size. And maybe we might have to make the background size. No, that's fine. All we need to do here is do the wrapper. So for the wrapper, let's do a height of 80 virtual height, and make sure that we have align content set to center. Let's have a look. Okay, this is actually looking really nice. We do have a little bit of space here, so we could this is actually centered in dead middle, so even if I was to change this to 88, let's say, this will be still dead in the middle. And this doesn't seem to be exactly like the original design, but let's have a look. Yeah, the font is a little bit bolder, but these are things that we can work on later on. I don't want to waste your time doing bold, changing fonts and so on. Now I consider the hero section done. Obviously we can add more multiple media queries, but if we scale down, hopefully it should kick in and work like this, which is brilliant. This is fine so far. The next section that we need to concentrate on is this section, and trust me, the rest of the stuff shouldn't take too long. Alright, let's focus on the second section, which is the promo cards, and this is how they look on mobile, and let's get going and create them. So hopefully these will be a little bit easier to do. Let's go to HTML first of all, and let's create the promo cards underneath this section here. So let's create a new section, and this section will have the class of standard promo, just like this. And inside this section, we're obviously gonna have two promo cards. So what we can do is let's create one with the class of promo card, and then we can use promo. Then we can add a modifier like promo-card-gray, and maybe the first one will be the one where this lady is displayed. So, and the second one will be this guy. So let's maybe add another modifier like promo-card-woman, and then inside here we're gonna have a title and some body text. So what we can do is wrap this in an H2 and give the H2 a class name of promo card, and then underscore heading. And inside here, of course, we're gonna have to copy the text. So many layers. Copy the text, and then we need to do the paragraph underneath, and I will give this class of promo-card __ body, just we're so a little bit more specific. And let's copy some of this text as well, copy paste, and let's have a look quickly, just like this. And we can now copy this section below and obviously change this to be men maybe, and we can change this to shop men, and I believe the difference is literally just men's new arrivals. Okay, let's have a look at our page, and yeah, everything is working so far. We have everything that we need, and let me show you how this is going to work now. So let's create a new section. We've created them. These comments take so much space. Let's create a new one in here. Let's just say this is, I don't know, actually let's copy this. Let's say this is our promo card. So first of all, we're gonna have to start with the promo, standard promo class element. Make sure this is displayed as grid. And now that we have it displayed as grid, so technically speaking, we should be okay the way it looks now, just like this. We actually need to focus on the individual blocks now, and to do this we can do, let's say promo card, we can do like block like this. And damn it, if you remember, we gave our promo cards a promo card class name, so let's copy this and use it in here. So what I want to do is add a little bit of padding everywhere on those cards, and if you remember, we created this variable which is mobile padding, so let's add that padding. We can use it, mobile padding. Let's save it, and as you can see, it makes a little bit more padding, breathing space for design. Also, let's make sure that we have some margin at the bottom of each card, which will be like 20 pixels will do for now. And this is our block. Now we need to style our elements, and actually we need to style them in here. So let me show you. I don't know why I'm doing this now, the block element thing, but just to see how it works anyway. We'll remove them later. So obviously we created this as a heading and we created this as a body. So we can use our trick, which is __ heading. I'm actually not going to be touching the heading, so let's remove that. Let's remove that and create just the body. And for the body, all I want to do is set max width to be set to 70%. And this is so the text doesn't go right to the end of the screen, because I want to put the images in here so they're visible nicely. And remember, we done a gray modifier. This is because I want those cards to have a gray background color, just like this one. And first of all, let me remove the background color of our main page, which we don't need, like this. Okay, all gray modifier will be added in here. So this will be like a modifiers maybe. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Okay, modifiers, and we can do ampersand -- gray. For this, let's do it on one line, background color, and the background color will be set to F2, F3, F5, like this. And this should be like this should be a gray color. And as you can see, this makes the cards very easily modifiable. I can do different colors and so on. Now let's create the image in here, and then we'll create the one for the men as well. To do this, these are modifiers as well, and we can add them straight in here. So -- woman, and we're gonna have to do a background image, and the background image will be set to URL - images. I don't know if I need the slash, but we'll see in a second. So slash images female.png is the one that I have. Let's save this. Okay, it's not popping up. Let's remove this. This isn't popping up. Oh, and this is because I've misspelled promo card with guard. So card, excuse me for this. And now we can remove that. Or are they? The female image should be appearing, but I think it's probably far too big, and that's why it's not appearing now. So what we have to do is do background size to contain maybe. Okay, this is perfect. Then we can do background repeat, no repeat. And obviously we need to position this image to the right here. The two ways of doing this, we can either do background dash position to the right, and that works real nice actually. It fits perfectly. But if you want to do it just like I've done it here on the mobile design, actually this card is a lot bigger, but it doesn't matter. Smaller ones are looking cool as well. If you wanted to do it just like this, we will have to position this image to the right a little bit more. This is a little bit awkward to do. So what we can do, and I don't know whether this is a good way of doing it, but it seems to work. What we can do is make sure that the background position is set to 100%. So let's do calc, set to 100%. And we can do minus 90, but for some reason I think only 90 minus 90 like this will work. Let's have a look. Okay, as you can see, this is now quite fluid. If I was to resize it, the woman is standing there, her face is like right in the middle, which is awesome, and it's just not moving, and it's brilliant basically. So maybe we can just do less than that, obviously, and so on. So this is a good way of doing it, I would guess. And yeah, or just put position right. So let's leave it as it is now. I quite like the way it is anyway. And we need to copy this code and do exactly the same for the what do they call it, for the men, and we need to do male, and that's perfect. And of course we can now position, this allows us, having two different classes allows us to position the image the way we want. So I'll probably position it like almost there. Yeah, I'll probably position it just like this. And I think this is awesome. It's working quite well. One thing that I noticed is that we didn't convert these to actual clickable elements, and this is where having specific styles become very handy, because now I can go back and instead of a div, I can literally change this to a link. Obviously I need to give it href and some link and change this to a, and if I save it, as you can see, it's working exactly the same, but obviously we just need to reset the link underline, and this is awesome. So let's do the same for the other one. This is a good example of using the BEM stuff. Save it, and let's just remove the text decoration. We can have on hover, I guess, but I don't want it the way it is at the moment. So we could do here text decoration none, and that would be gone. And if we need to add the hover effect, we actually already have the hover effect, but if you need to add underline, we can always do ampersand hover text decoration underline, just to show you, and that would underline it, which is awesome. Let's continue. Now we need to do this for desktop. Of course, if we go up on desktop, these are full width, which don't look too bad actually, but we need to make them look like this design here. To do this, we are gonna add a quick media query to the promo card. Let's have a look. Because we displayed those cards as a grid, that's very helpful. Now we can literally, let's say let's include another media query now. Let's include the large one. So include a large, and inside here what I want to do is, because we have grid, we can set the grid to be into template columns and to take each column to take one fraction each. Grid, template columns, 1 FR, 1 FR, save, and let's have a look. And as you can see, they are now next to each other. Let's go back. We need, if you want to set the height, I think the height for this is 450. We can actually use the grid auto row. So this will make all rows automatically 450 pixels. So I can do grid auto rows 450 pixels. And last but not least, let's make a little gap between them of like 40 pixels. Let's have a look now. So we have the gap between them, which is awesome. They are all 450 pixels in height, and maybe we just need to kind of mess with the styles in here, maybe position them in the middle and so on. So in the design we actually have them like center line, which is a little bit annoying, but let's do it. So let's copy this, and inside here, inside the large media query, let's do promo card, and we need to display the promo card as grid first of all. So display grid, so we can center line the content inside it. And let's have a look at what's happened. As you can see, the content is now aligned. Then we need to mess with the headings a little bit. So ampersand underscore underscore heading and ampersand underscore underscore body. Let's change that. Maybe we can do it of max width 300 pixels. And let's make sure that the text align is set to center, just like the design. As you saw, there was a lot of margin on the heading, so I want to reset that. We can do again and heading, and then we can do margin 0. And last but not least, maybe let's have a look. Yeah, last but not least, we can change the line height between those fonts is too close for some reason, so let's change that as well. We can do another one here, and body, and the body will be set to line height 3 rem. Okay, let's have a look. That's looking much better. Everything is looking so cool. The other thing that we can do is to make sure that the images are fitting nicely in here. We could, at the moment they're set to contain, we could set them to be cover. Let's have a look at how that works. So inside here I would probably do woman, and then I will just say genius position. We have the image already there, so I would say cover, and I would probably do position it to the right. Let's see what this does. And as you can see, we are now seeing the full image of the woman, just like on the design here. And let's do the same for the female. So let's do that. Men section, and yeah, that's it actually. Ooh. Because these are actually repeating, what we can do is copy these and hopefully put, excuse me, we could potentially copy this, put a comma in here and leave in here, and that would save us a little bit of space. And they're still working, which is great. There is a little bit of gap in here that we can sort out, but honestly not a big deal at the moment. We can just add a little bit of margin from the header or whatever. Let's have a look. So on the hero section, let's just add some margin maybe. Where is the hero? we can do it in here, margin bottom, and let's have a look. Okay, that's looking perfect. So if we go down, obviously because we've done a large media query, look at when they kick in. It's quite late, I would say, so maybe we need to do the tablet one, but just to show you, it's working real well so far. Superb. Let's continue. The next section of the design is this. I'm going to call them shop sections. So first of all, let's go to our index and create a new section in here. So we're gonna have section with the class name of shop section. And then let's close the section, and then inside here we can have an h2, which will be our heading. So let's give it class name of shop dash section underscore heading, and this heading will be women's bestsellers. Then let's add this paragraph at the bottom. And let's add the paragraph a class name of shop section underscore body. And then we're gonna have probably another div with the class name of items. For now, that honestly, don't do this, that doesn't matter. And this is where we're gonna be adding the items when we do the actual shop with WooCommerce. So I'll leave this blank for now. We have this section. We can literally copy this section and duplicate the next one and so on. So let's see how this would work, just like here. The next one was called new arrivals, and then the text I'm going to copy from here, just like this, and like paste in here. And maybe we can do breakpoints just like this, so they look ever so slightly better. And the breakpoint on this one is at soft, so let's find soft and put a breakpoint here, save it, and let's see how it looks. Okay, everything is looking great. Let's make sure we style them super quickly. Hopefully this section will be super easy to do. Let's jump to styles.scss, copy this, as we have already started doing that. Shop section. Okay, the shop section, obviously we have a class of shop section. We have the ampersand underscore heading, and we have the ampersand underscore body. And inside here, all I want to do is text align them to the center. Boom. Job done. I don't know why the space, the line height is so bad. Maybe I just need to do it globally. Let's see. Yeah, let's do it globally for now, see how it goes. Let's change it to the body, just like this. Obviously, okay, no, I think that's much better actually. Obviously it's messing up with my button a little bit for some reason, but that's okay, we can change that later. Now that we have those two sections, we're gonna have the items obviously coming from WordPress, which is fine. We don't have to deal with this anymore. We are done with this section, and let's focus on the next one, which is our newsletter. Hopefully this one will be easy to do as well. Get going. So first of all, let's go to the bottom, and I'll copy this. Probably should have done like this, so they're not big headings, and then I'll do newsletter here. So newsletter, let's go to HTML. Underneath here, we're gonna have a section, and this section will have a class of newsletter, And inside here we can have an H1 which will have this text here. Let's copy it up, paste it, and of course let's give this class name of newsletter heading. And then we need to create a form. To create a form, you can go to MailChimp, sign up for your account and copy the MailChimp form. I've already created one, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. I'm going to leave most of the stuff will be, the only thing that I've done is I've created, the form has a class of form and the input has a class of form email. And do I have anything else? And then I have the submit button as well, which has a class, a modifier of button, I guess we can call it this way. Ooh, and this has two classes of buttons, so let's remove one just like this. Okay, let's go back to the page, see what we get. This is looking fantastic. Now let's style this super quickly and go to styles.css and let's get started. So newsletter shouldn't be too bad, I would assume. The first thing that we need to do is start by typing newsletter. And let's display the newsletter as a grid as well. It makes things a lot easier. Then I want to align the items to the center. Center just like this, and I don't think I've done anything, but let's put a center like this, and let's put a gap as well of 20 pixels. I think that worked, the gap worked. Now let's reset the heading, which will be __ heading, and inside here we can do font size to 3 rem. Oh yeah, this is looking much better. Then we can reset the margin on the heading 0 like this. And now for the desktop version, let's add a media query now here. So includes tablet portrait I'm gonna go for, and I'm gonna do grid template columns, and I'm gonna do 2 fractions this time and then 1 fraction. So I want this to be bigger, to take 2 fractions of the screen, and this to take 1 fraction of the screen. But of course this will only happen when we go on the tablet. So when we resize this, we should see it like this. So as you can see, this is taking more space than the other, and then it goes back to normal grid. The only thing I would probably do for the heading as well is probably set the font style to be italic. Yeah, that looks much better. And let's style the form super quickly. The form I will style separately inside here. And what I will do is for the email, I'm going to do and email. And this will take 100%. This is basically the email box in here. This will take 100%. The margin bottom, let's do 20 pixels like this, so it pushes up the button a little bit more. I hope you can see. And let's do border and bottom of 1 pixel. 1 pixel, solid primary color. And as you can see, the input still has some default browser styles, which we'll have to reset in a second. But as we're here, you can see the button is already working, which is awesome. But we could also make the button 100%. Let's have a look. Maybe we can do that. Maybe that would be cool. __ submit. And then the width will be set to 100%. I don't think that's working. Oh, I've misspelled submit, that's why. And the button is now 100%, which is great. And now let's make a global styles for our input. We've got to be careful with this, how we do it, but let's go at the top where we reset our links. What I'm thinking of doing is, if it doesn't work, we can always modify, of course. So let's do input in here, and what I will do is I'll put input. Obviously there are all sorts of types and inputs, and we're gonna have to work on this later on, but let's go with resetting some of the styles. So I would say let's start with border none. Obviously, as you can see, the border is now gone. Background image none. That resets it for some browsers. Then background set to transparent. We can do the WebKit reset as well. So resets the shadow. Then we can do the mouse as well. Prefix to do box shadow to none, and of course box shadow none. I think box shadow might be available pretty much everywhere now. I don't know if we need to do the prefixes, but it's better to do that anyway. Then we can do maybe padding of 16 pixels, and this is happening because this is adding the 16 pixels to left and right and top and bottom, and that's why. So 100% plus the 16 pixels to the left and right, and that's why it's breaking the layout just like this. And to fix this, we'll have to do the box sizing, border box, and basically now the 16 is taken inside, is considered with the size. Let's have a look how this works on desktop. As you can see, that doesn't look very good, so we're gonna have to do a bit of work on that as well. We could do max width on this here, so let's find it quickly. We need newsletter heading, and we could do max width 450 pixels or something like this, 60 pixels, and that kind of works with the design I have, maybe a little bit more, and the text needs to be, the font weight needs to be changed as well. I think let's change it to 500 pixels, and let's change the font weight to be 300, and let's have a look. That font weight did not work. We'll you can change to, is 200 or better? I don't know what I selected. So we're gonna have to stick with this, I think, and maybe we'll need to put a little bit more of a line height in here of the heading. Line height 3-4 rems. I don't know. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. Everything is center line, everything is looking cool. When we scale down, just like this, it's working perfectly. So now the next section that we need to do is the footer. Hopefully the footer wouldn't take too long as well. It's fairly simple. So let's start with the footer in here. The footer, we're going to use the HTML5 element footer, and instead of adding classes to this, I'm going to create another div with the class of footer, and you will see why in a second. So let's say class footer. This will make it just like this. Then the reason I'm doing this is because we have this section of the footer, but then we have kind of another section below. So what I'm going to do is have this section here, and then I'm going to have another section in here called div with a class name of copyright, just like this. And now we can start populating the containers with some data. So first of all, for the footer, let's create the container. So we're going to have a div with the class name of footer-container. This footer-container will have a heading of h3, and this heading will have a class name of footer-container __ heading. Then let's add some of the headings. So first one is how can we help, just like this. We need to add a URL, which will be displayed from WordPress, but let's mimic it as much as possible now so we can style it and we don't have to mess around with it later. Class footer body, I would say, for this one. And inside here we're obviously gonna have to create a few lists with a few links. Href is equals like this, and delivery. Okay, so let's copy this a few times, just like Alt Shift and down arrow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. The next one is returns. Then we have FAQ. They're just random dummy links, to be honest. Contact us. So let's change the next one. Will be my account. The next one will be find a store, and the next one will be sitemap. Okay, so let's go down and see what we get. The headings are looking good. I could definitely do with some spacing between every single element. I can definitely use some spacing between them, but we can also, if you remember, we added in styles.scss, we added this wrapper class. So if we go there, we can probably reuse this. So just underneath the wrapper, let's find where the section is. Okay, this section here, and let's add 2 more classes, and the first one is going to be the footer, because I want to have the same equal space. And also we're going to probably need one later on called content area, which will be for our other pages. So let's add it now, content area. And one thing that we didn't do is to change the padding on desktop. So let's do a media query in here quickly. Include tablet portrait, and all we have to do is set the padding to be the desktop padding that we set earlier. And if we go back, you will see that we have so much more padding now, and in fact we probably can do with less padding in here now. That was the hero. So let's remove this. Let's have a look. Okay, this is brilliant now. We have padding everywhere. It's looking so much clearer. It's like the original design. We have the padding here as well, and we can focus on the footer. Let's go back to the footer. So we're gonna have to shrink this down and have a look. First of all, let's create the other sections as well. So we need to copy this container a few times, 4 times, I believe. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that. So as you can see, this is looking fairly pretty, but what I would suggest doing on mobile is probably hiding those sections and just making them so they are available to toggle. So if I go back to the browser and look for fed icons, we need chevron down. Get this. What we can do is open this in Visual Studio Code, copy it, and add the chevron in here, just like this. It's a little bit ugly with SVG, but let's go with it for now. We could do it, if you have font awesome, that would be easier, I guess. As you can see, we have this chevron icon now, which is brilliant. And what I'm thinking is that we can hide these on mobile, and only display them on desktop. So everything is set up in here. The last thing that we need to do of our HTML is to do the copyright section, but first of all, let's start this. Let's copy one of them comments and go in here and put footer. For the footer, we're gonna display it footer display as grid. Let's make sure that we set a gap of 20 pixels just between them everywhere. Then for desktop, we can straight away include the media query, tablet portrait, and in here I'm going to do grid, and I can do repeat 4 times 1 FR, and this for desktop, this should repeat them into columns, and we can check this out now if you like. Yep, everything is working into columns, which is brilliant. For the footer container, let's do something like this. So we can have and container, and inside here we're going to be styling some of the headings, the body, and the icons. So this is the first time that we're going to use Flexbox, but let's go for it, and we can do &% __ heading, and we can display this one as flex. And what I'm gonna do is just justify the content to be space between, and this is because I want the arrow to be on the right side of the screen here, and this will be kind of like, this will act as a link. When people tap on it, this will appear and so on. I'm obviously not going to be doing it in this video tutorial because the recording is already over 2.5 hours, which is insane. But it's just an example for you how to do it. Anyways, and then the next thing that we need to do is remove the body. So the body, we can set display to none, and we are left with the actual links or headings, which is brilliant. But before we do this, let's actually style the body so we can see how it looks like. So list, let's remove the list style, set to none, none. Then we need to we need to reset any of the margin to 0 and padding to be 0 as well, just like this. It's looking nice. And then we need to make sure that all the links are displayed as block, so they kind of like take the full width of the layout and they're easy to click. And then we just need to add some padding on them so they're easy to select as well, just like this. Okay, this is okay for desktop, but for mobile obviously it might be a little bit too extreme. Let's go like 8. Okay, this is a little bit nicer, I think. Let's open it now in full screen, and of course now these are on the right side and we don't want that. We actually want them to be on the left side. So let's do that super quickly. We're gonna have to add another media query inside the container here, like around here. So include tablet portrait, and we can do __ sorry, we can do &_ heading, and then we can just justify the content to the start. Save this. And as you can see, they are now aligned next to the text, and they're not aligned perfectly, so we could spend a little bit more time to align them a little bit. We could align item center on this, I guess. So let's have a look. Align item center, and as you can see, they are aligned nicely with the buttons, but that's good for mobile, but we actually don't want them on desktop, so we're gonna have to remove them as well. So first of all, let's remove this. Let's make sure that this is removed for mobile. For desktop, we now need to add them actually, so we're gonna have to add the body in here as well, and body, and this will be block, just like this. save it, and let's have a look. So as you can see, they're displayed on desktop, but if we go down to mobile, they are now gone. The icons, the center aligned and everything is working perfectly well. Obviously this will need to be triggered with JavaScript and so on. We are not going to be having the time to do this, unfortunately, because the tutorial is going for far too long. The last thing I would like to do in here in those is to remove them icons, and to do this, because they are SVG, I can just simply go into heading, and I can just do SVG, I guess, and just do display none. Hopefully this will work for us. Yep, that's fine. Go back to desktop, they appear, and we're good. The last thing that we need to do in here is to create the footer. First of all, let's go to the feather icons again. Let's get Facebook. Let's get Twitter. Let's get YouTube. And so on. These would do for now. Let's open Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, let's open those three. They would do for the example. And let's go back to index, and at the bottom here where copyright is, let's finish this section super quickly. What I will do for the copyright is I'm going to create another div with the class name of copyright __ social, and these will be the social icons, and then we're going to have to wrap those social icons in links. And basically this is where we're going to be adding the icons. So first of all, let's add something like YouTube. I just don't like how big the SVGs are, but I am zoomed in quite a lot as well. So let's copy another one here, and this will be, I don't know which one I copied. I copied YouTube, so let's have Facebook now. Facebook, and let's copy one more and add Twitter, just like this. And last but not least, we need our copyright text here, not inside this div, but just outside it. So we're gonna have to create another div with the class name of copyright body, and then we're gonna have to add the copyright symbol, which I have no idea how to do, with the HTML elements. I'll Google it in a second. 2020 and guide shop. Okay, simple like this. Copyright symbol HTML, and it's just copy. I could have guessed this. Let's add it in here, save, and all it's left to do is to style the icons in this section. So let's do that super quickly. Let's extend them, go back to styles, and inside I'm gonna create another section just below the footer. Copy this, and I'm gonna call this copyright. Let's put the copyright margin, let's give it a little bit of margin top so it's not so close together. Let's make sure that we align the text to the center, and then for the social icons, let's do social. Obviously there is a link inside, so we can style the link instead, and we can just do padding 10 pixels each everywhere. And for the body we can simply do margin top 40 pixels, and this should work for us. But of course I think there's some underlines here, that's why they are appearing like this, and I don't know why the copyright is so close as well. Maybe I misspelled something. I've obviously misspelled something, so it's probably like this. Let's try that. And of course for the body we can actually add margin for the bottom as well. We can do margin top to be 40 and bottom to be 40 and left and right to be 0 or something like that, so we have a little bit more space. That concludes everything for this tutorial. As you can see, this moved a little bit when I changed the line height, but overall everything is looking good. When we add the items, this will look nice as well in WordPress, and everything else is looking quite nice. And when I extend it, as you can see, those media queries kick on very late, but you know how to change them by adding different media queries and so on. So this concludes everything for this tutorial. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As always, my name is Radhi and you're watching my channel, Radhi the Brand. Smash the like button, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.